Hi everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of The One Where She Knits. My name's Keely, and this is basically just going to be my little corner of the internet where I chat about all things knitting, yarn, and I guess whatever's on my needles at the moment. I've never done this before, and I really just want it to feel like we're hanging out, knitting together, talking about all fibre things that we love. So feel free to grab your project, grab a beverage. I'm a coffee girl myself. And let's get to it. Today I'm going to talk about my very first finished object, which is a garment. What I'm currently working on, which are 2 items currently that I have on the needles. A little dive into my very small yarn stash that I've already started, and all the plans that I have for upcoming wear. Quickly, what I'm wearing is not me made. I know that that is very much a thing for knitting podcasts. I only have one jumper that is me made currently. I only started knitting at the start of the year, and unfortunately it's just way too hot to wear inside. So let's get into that now, because the first thing that I want to talk about is my first finished object. I actually lie. This is not my first finished object. My first finished object was a beanie. The pattern by PetiteKnit. I can't remember what it was, which one it was. But I did that in acrylic yarn just to get back into knitting. I actually learnt to knit over a decade ago, but I haven't done it since, and I never knit anything other than a rectangle. So I thought, you know what, I'll start off with that, ease into it. And then I jumped straight into a jumper. Now I've just pulled this out of the cupboard, so excuse the creases in it. This is my very first garment that I've made. I'll insert a little bit of footage here of me trying it on. This is the step-by-step sweater. The pattern is by Florence Miller, and it is a free pattern on Ravelry with a YouTube video to go along with it, a 1 hour long YouTube video that shows you every single technique and skill that you would need to be able to make this sweater. I opted to do no German short rows, so this has no neckline shaping whatsoever, but it is gorgeous. I am obsessed with these colours. I have to bring up my Ravelry to remember what I knit this in. I will also put the details in the caption below so you have everything. So I knit it in the size C, and I knit it on US 7 and US 8 needles. I used 10.5 skeins of wool. I used drops Nepal. The colourway was 8906. And I used 8 skeins of that. So that's this, like, I think it's like a forest green it's called. And then the alternating colour is also drops Nepal, is 2.5 skeins of it. And it was colour 0300, which is just like the natural undyed colour. I also did no decreases in the sleeve. I've just got a straight sleeve. And then I did not love, and I actually have come to love it now, but I did not originally love the 1x1 ribbing in the neckline. So, or no, it was the body. It wasn't the neckline that was the issue, it was the body. I didn't originally like it because prior to blocking it was really, really slanted, and I thought that was a me problem, but turns out blocking fixed it. So on the sleeves, I actually did twisted rib, which I really, really, really love. I think it's prettier, to be honest. And then the bind off that I did for the sleeves were Italian bind off. Did I do that for the body as well? I think I did it for the body as well, Italian bind off. This was definitely not a quick knit for me. I started this, what does my Ravelry say? I started this on the 3rd of April and I finished it on the 30th of June. So when I was knitting this one, there'd be weeks where I didn't do anything on it, either because I was too busy or my hands were sore. Like, mind you, I had never just sat and knitted and knitted and knitted. So there was a lot of learning curves with this, that you need to take breaks. It does hurt your hands, and your hands do cramp up. I know a lot of people do whip through their jumpers or like their in the round top down jumpers pretty quickly. Given that it was my first, I wasn't in a rush. Would I change anything about it? Yes. This is a 65, drops Nepal is 65% wool and 35% alpaca, and it is extremely warm. It is also very thick. I can't really wear it inside, I can only wear it outside. Like, we do get pretty cold here in Melbourne, but it's been an unseasonably warm winter for us. Like I don't think we've even had a frost, or maybe we've had one frost, and so it's just too warm for me to wear this. So maybe next winter I'll get a bit more wear out of it. But if I was to knit the pattern again, I would definitely just use a 100% merino wool to knit it. But in saying that, I absolutely love it. I think it's really, really soft. I can't quite wear it on bare skin yet, but I think that's just my body isn't used to wearing wool or anything of the kind. So yeah, it means I do wear a long sleeve underneath it because that itchiness, I don't think it's too itchy, I think it's just me. I think that's a me problem. I really, really enjoyed knitting this. I will absolutely do the pattern again. When I do it again, I will definitely do the short row shaping in the neckline. I think that'll really, really help with how it feels on my neck. It does sit quite high on my neck. I think it like comes up here and it sits like a mock neck almost. So that's probably the only difference I would make. But yeah, other than that, that is my step-by-step sweater. All done. I'm very, very proud of this. It was to complete this and kind of like essentially convince myself that I can do this and I can knit clothes that I would actually wear. Really just set me into an absolute spiral. Before this jumper, I didn't really have any tools, any notions, definitely no stash of yarn, that's for sure. And now I have 2 more projects on the go. Yarn being delivered like every other week. And not only do I have a full set of circular needles, but I've now also started adding to my set and getting double ups of needles because I have multiple projects on the go that require the same size. So that's what this did for me. It was absolutely a gateway, and the floodgate just opened once I finished this and I blocked it. Yeah, so that's what it feels like to finish your first garment that you'll wear. Things I learned from this: Italian bind off, complicated to learn, super easy once you know it. Like once you've understood it, it is so easily, and I felt it quite mindless to just do, sitting while watching TV. Raglan increases, exact same thing. Once I've kind of done a couple of rows, I know what way to do make one right and make one left. So they're the things I learnt. How to join a collar and do a folded collar. What else? Twisted rib. Did not know twisted rib before. Like I quite literally knew how to knit and how to purl flat. That's it. So yeah, I learnt a lot. Moving on to my whips. I am a basket girl. I love having my whips in a basket or in a little cotton drawstring bag. So let's get into this. This was originally my basket. I would just carry around my one project in here with like one extra skein of each colour of wool, along with like my stitch markers, things like that, and my little pencil case. It has now become slightly a dumping ground, but anyway, this is my project in here. This, if you follow me on TikTok, you would have seen my Whip Wednesdays about this. I haven't done one in a couple of weeks, frankly, because I haven't made any more progress on it. However, it is the Eva Cardigan by PetiteKnit in Bendigo Woollen Mills classic yarn, 8-ply in the colour charcoal. Now, I originally thought the charcoal was going to have like a bit more of, I don't know, a grey undertone, but it has quite a blue undertone and can look navy in some light. But anyway, I'm loving it. I have done quite a fair bit of progress. I am on Body Island. I think I have maybe 1 or 2 centimeters left to go on the body, and then I do the ribbing on the body and move to the sleeves. I am personally loving knitting a cardigan. However, it does mean knitting flat, as you can see, and that is a lot of stitches to purl when you're going back on the wrong side. So hence why we took a pause and I started something that's knitting in the round, because I love this, but every other line purling all the way back, ridiculous. But so what will be left once I finish the body is obviously the sleeves and then the front button band and around the collar bit. I believe that's all done in one, so we'll see. But I'm really, really liking it. I'm knitting it in the size large, all petite knit patterns I knit in a size large. That is so that I can hit the recommended positive or negative ease in the bust circumference. And my bust circumference is 98 or 100, I think. So far I haven't changed anything from the pattern with this one. I don't have an end goal in mind. I think I'm just really, really enjoying it, and I think I'll pick it back up in a couple of weeks' time. I just needed a bit of a break from the giant row of pearls. I think I would just like to have it finished sometime before spring, because I think it'll be a really, really good like layering option. Especially I work in an office and sometimes it can get chilly and sometimes not. So I think this will be really, really good. The construction of this I found quite interesting. Now I have to try and remember how you do it. You do like a small top bit here, and then you add on the sides, and then you knit forward, and then you go over here and you pick up stitches here and you knit kind of down, I think, if that makes sense. I may have just got that order entirely wrong, but anyway, that's the Eva Cardigan by PetiteKnit. So far I think I've used 1.5 skeins. I'm trying to, oh, it's falling everywhere. Do I have an end? Yes. So with the Bendigo Woollen Mills skeins or balls of yarn, they come in 200 grams, so they're ginormous. This is half of one. I have only used 1.5 so far in this project. So I did buy 4 in total, but I don't think we'll use them all. So I might have some scrap yarn from this. But yeah, I'm hoping that colour picks up well. And then what I like keeping my projects in is this is just a dust bag from a handbag I brought. They tend to be pretty solid, cotton, whatever. Excellent for keeping. I have a crochet hook in here. I have a dressmaker measuring tape, like the flexible ones, the soft ones, and then spare skein of yarn. So that's my project bag, so if I want to knit it, I just pick this up. The second project that I have on the go is also another PetiteKnit pattern. It is the Monday sweater by PetiteKnit. And I am knitting it in Knitting for Olive Merino held with their Soft Silk Mohair, both in the colour Brown Bear. Now, it is on quite a small what's it called? Cord. It's on a small cord is what I'm trying to say, because I'm about to take the stitches off for the sleeves, and so obviously we'll drop quite a lot of stitches. So I'm just leaving it on this cord for the time being. But this is just a top-down raglan sweater. It's going to be slightly oversized. Again, I'm knitting it in the colour Brown Bear. And as you can see, I'm holding the mohair with the merino, a single strand of each, so it has this really, really nice fuzziness to it. Obviously this is only my second sweater and I've never held 2 strands together, so I did find it a little bit challenging to start off with, to make sure I had caught, like when I'm knitting, that I'm getting both strands. But other than that, I found it pretty easy. I am knitting this on, I have the, I think I'm going to say this wrong, but I have the Chiagu needles. These are the 4-inch ones, which, oh my god. I know everyone says they're expensive and like they're worth it, but I'm so mad because they actually are worth it. For context, I started off knitting, I bought a set on Amazon. I was very lucky that when I started knitting they were all on sale, so it was like 60% off. I have the Knit Pro Zing set, and so These are great. I knit my first sweater on them. I've knit a beanie on them. I love them. I'm not going to get rid of them anytime soon. However, if we have a look at, now this is obviously, yeah, these are both 4mm, or this is a 4.5mm needle, but it's a like a, I think this is 5 inches in length. The difference that 1 inch makes is insane. Like, I don't know why, but my hands are cramping less, they're in a lot less pain. I'm finding instead of using my like whole hand to knit, I really am just using like my fingertips. So I am enjoying it a lot better knitting with the ChiaoGoo needles. But other than that, get what you can afford. I went to get a couple of extra Knit Pro zings because the reason I got these is because I needed another 4mm set, and my set actually didn't come with 3.5mm, so I needed to buy some of those for this pattern. But the ChiaoGoo and the Knit Pro needles were the exact same price, and the reviews for the ChiaoGoo were just a lot better, so that is why I went with them. And honestly, knitting on the metal needles are so easy. Everything just flies by. Haven't changed anything with this pattern so far. I'm not going to change anything with this pattern. I'm really enjoying it. I don't think I'll do a lot of modifications for patterns really for quite some time until I kind of really understand what those modifications are going to do, if that makes sense. Like how much overall it's going to change the look of the pattern. I think I have done the short row shaping in this one. So as you can see, the neckline will sit like you would expect a crew neck to sit, essentially. Again, I don't have an end date or a goal in mind for this jumper. I kind of just want to enjoy knitting it. I work full time, so really I only get to knit after work while we're sitting after dinner watching telly, or like on the weekends when it's really shit weather and we're stuck inside. So I don't really put any goal end dates on my knits. I also don't want to pressure myself into finishing it by a certain date because, you know, if I knit too much or too fast, or yeah, I just don't want to make mistakes or hurt my hand and then not be able to knit for like a week or two. One thing that I am finding challenging that I'm still kind of learning how I want to do is keeping track of my knits. So currently I just have a notebook that I'm writing down after every single like round I've done so that I don't lose track. So like this is like my Eva cardigan, and then I wrote down row right side 1, row wrong side 2, like for the yoke, and then yeah, it's a lot, but I think it's working quite well. If anyone has any other better suggestions on how to like keep track of where I'm up to in the pattern, that would be really helpful, because I have no idea how else I'm supposed to remember that I like what round I'm up to if I'm doing 27 rounds of 2 rows. It's a lot of maths, and I'm not going to remember it. Like, let's be real. They're my 2 whips currently. Hopefully by the next time, or the next episode, if this one does okay, or if I enjoy filming and editing this, one of them might be finished. I can't guarantee. We might just have 4 whips by then, who knows. Let's talk about what I have in my yarn stash currently, which is about to grow, but I will get into that in a little bit. So obviously I have all my wool for the Monday sweater and the rest of the wool for my Eva cardigan. But I also have a couple other things that I wanted to show you that are currently in my stash. So some of these I bought with patterns in mind. One of them I just bought on a whim because it was on clearance, and I was like, well, you know, it was meant to be. So the first one is Drops Lima, and this is in the colour 9030, so it's this really nice green colour. And what did I purchase this for? I think I purchased this for a beanie. It's a PetiteKnit beanie, I know that. Let me have a look. I have purchased a lot of patterns because I want to read them to learn more about them so that I can kind of gauge how I want, like what kind of wool I want, so I know the structure, etc. Hope that makes sense. Oh, I think it's for the PetiteKnit weekend hat or the weekend headband. I think this is I bought this for the weekend hat in mind. And then I have this one, which is Drops Merino Extra Fine in the colour 04, and that I think I purchased for the weekend headband. I think. Maybe. But we're pretty much out of winter, and like I said, it hasn't been an overly cold winter for us here, no frost really, nothing like that. So I just didn't put these on my needles yet. I didn't have a need for them, but absolutely will be done before next winter. Next up is another Bendigo Woollen Mills. This is in their luxury wool 8-ply, again in the colour Koala, and it's like this really gorgeous warm toned grey. So it's got like a yellow undertone on it almost. And I did purchase this with a pattern in mind, again a PetiteKnit pattern. However, upon reflection, I don't know if the luxury wool is going to be the best choice for it. The pattern is the Storm Sweater by PetiteKnit, of course. I know that a lot of people find PetiteKnit patterns not size inclusive. However, as a beginner knitter, I find them really, really easy to follow. And that's why I keep going back to them until I feel like I'm ready to branch out. But anyway, I did do my gauge swatch for the Storm Sweater in the luxury wool. Granted, this colour is not perfect because I was soaking in fake tan when I knit this, and so some of that did rub off. So due to how soft the wool is, I think it's going to pill too much, or it's just going to be too high maintenance with all this texture. And it's not for myself, it was going to be for my partner, who would wear it under a motorcycle jacket, and there will be a lot of friction and a lot of rubbing. And so while I still want to knit it, not in this yarn, I've decided. I may still knit it in this yarn and then knit it again in a different yarn, but yeah, unsure. But it's a gorgeous wool. I do love it. It's very soft. And then last but not least, this is the clearance yarn that I picked up a few weekends ago. We were just Thank you, Parker. We were just out and about on the other side of the city, and I said to my partner, can we stop into a yarn store? I've never been to a yarn specialty store. Never had the need to before. And they had a clearance room, and it was open that day, and they had this gorgeous 100% American wool yarn. The brand is Quince & Co, and in brackets it says Lark, so I'm assuming that's the range. It is a worsted weight yarn. There's 123 meters to 50 grams. It's grown, spun and dyed in the USA, and this is the color Honey 123. I instantly picked up every single skein they had. They had 6 from one dye lot and 1 from another dye lot, but I'm going to knit it in a stripy jumper, so I don't think you'll be able to tell that much, and holding them next to each other in multiple different lights, I can't tell. So fingers crossed that it's okay, but I plan to knit the Olga sweater with this, again a PetiteKnit pattern, and I think the contrasting colour I'm going to do is either... thought of a new color. I was just gonna do cream and this, but like I feel like a plum would go, or like a cranberry color would go really, really well with this. Anyway, there's that. So that is my yarn stash currently. Now, I said just before that my yarn stash is about to grow exponentially. And that is because if you're a part of the fibre community, fibre arts community, you may or may not know of Knitting for Olive, and 10 days ago, about 2 weeks ago, they announced that on the 9th of August they would be donating 100% of sales, not profits, sales, to humanitarian aid for Gaza. So absolutely I placed an order. Now I want to preface this by saying I came from a place of privilege in being able to do so, and in being able to do so in such a large quantity, or what I consider a large quantity for me. So that is my disclaimer. I did place quite a large order. I've got about 24 skeins of wool coming from them. However, it's all of my summer knitting sorted. So it's 5 projects worth, and I'm very, very excited. So I want to run you through quickly what I purchased. Every single wool that I purchased with a plan in mind. So I purchased the exact amounts I would need for the project or the pattern that I intend to use it for, so that none of it's going to go to waste. It's not just going to sit in my cupboard. I am not in a position to build up a stash currently. Pretty much everything I buy has something behind it. Okay, so there are 6 patterns that I've picked out, but I've ordered enough yarn for 5 of them. I just haven't decided on which ones I want to do. So I've got the camisole number 9, and this is going to take 200 grams of any of the Knitting for Olives. So when I say that, I mean out of the merino, the cotton merino, or the pure silk is what I mean when I say any of them, because they're the 3 that I ordered. So camisole number 10. I am going to knit that one in Knitting for Olive silk, I've decided. I've got the Sabai top, I think that's how you say it, in Knitting for Olive cotton merino. And that one is the only one I know exact colour that I'm going to do. And that is Knitting for Olive merino, cotton merino in the colour, I think it's mole or mole. Again, I'm really, really sorry. Then I've got the Audrey top in, again, Knitting for Olive anything. And I've got the Ivy tee as well as the Cloud tee. And so then the colours I've got are Putty in the soft silk, or in the pure silk, sorry. I've got Dusty Olive in the merino, which is this gorgeous, gorgeous Knitting for Olive merino Dusty Olive, which is this gorgeous, I think it's like a warm to neutral undertone olive, but I think it's going to really, really slap in the camisole number 9 maybe. Then I've got the Knitting for Olive cotton merino in mole, which is like a greyish chocolate colour almost. I've then got Thundercloud in the cotton merino, which is a dark charcoal grey, and then in the silk I've got Coal. And I believe I already decided that potentially the Audrey top I'm going to do in the black maybe, I don't know. But they're my plans slash the stash that I have coming. I don't really want to call it a stash because everything is assigned a project pretty much. But that is just going to add to what I currently have in my collection. I'm obviously not going to be able to knit all of them at once, but my aim is to kind of start them when spring starts so that by summertime I have 5 new tops to add to my wardrobe. So I guess that kind of then goes into my plans and what I'm knitting next. I just want to finish what's on my needles currently. I don't plan on casting on anything new. If I cast on something new, I don't think I'm ever gonna have a finished object Friday up on my TikTok, ever, but we'll see. There's definitely, I have a very long list of plans in my notes, so I'm just gonna quickly run through because what I do is I will find a pattern and then I find the wool that I want to use for that, and I write down the colors that I might want to use and then how much I'll need of it, so that when I'm looking to purchase yarn, or when I'm looking to purchase yarn, essentially, if I'm out at a store or whatnot, I've already got this list of pre-planned projects with the weight of the yarn, how many grams I'll need, how many meters I'll make sure I need as well, that the grams and meters line up, potential colors I want to use, etc., needle sizes as well. So that's all there. So the next few things that I want to knit is obviously the Olga sweater. I've already got 50% of the wool. That probably won't get casted on until next year though, given that we are 2 weeks out to spring. Like, I just don't think I'm going to cast on another jumper this year, other than maybe a gift jumper for my partner. We'll see. The Sunday socks by PetiteKnit. They will be the first pair of socks I do, and I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till like autumn maybe to do those. The Sonia sweater by PetiteKnit in Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino, and see I've already got a colour here. I want to do it in the colour Morning Haze, which is like a really, really nice light heathered grey. I have the Berlin scarf that I want to do. The PetiteKnit Scarlet cardigan. I really, really wanted to do that before doing the Eva cardigan. That's actually what made me pick the Eva cardigan. But because it was a brand new PetiteKnit pattern, I wanted others to knit it first, because I'm just not an experienced knitter, and it is rated 4 out of 5, and it would be very, very adventurous for me to do when no one really else has content on making it for me to look back on and review. I then also want to knit the zipper sweater by PetiteKnit. I just love zipper sweaters. So, and then all of my summer knits, which are the camisole number 9, camisole number 10, Sabai top, Audrey top, Ivy tee, and Cloud tee. If you've knit any of these that I've just listed, I would really, really love to hear about your experience and what you thought of them, and if you think the difficulty rating is like accurate, and if you think that I could be an adventurous beginner and do some of these. That is everything for today's episode. If you enjoyed this, I would really, really love to know. Make sure you subscribe so you can see when the next episode comes out. Feel free to leave a comment below. Let me know what you're working on at the moment. I would love to get a bit more inspiration around what patterns I should be looking at, especially sock patterns. I'm really, really struggling finding some sock patterns that I really like right now. But yeah, until next time, happy knitting!